You're listening to the Eat 'em Up Pod, your home for Detroit Tigers opinions, discussion, nonsense, and more. Now, here are your hosts, Jordan Hall and Alex Urban.
Welcome to Eat 'em Up. I'm Jordan Hall, joined as always by the tailgate king of Detroit. It's Alex Urban. Alex, how are you doing tonight?
Jordan, I'm doing all right. I feel like there is a certain sadness that comes near the end of August. I don't know if it's like the back to school imprint of our youths, but yeah, not too bad. But you know, this is a strange season, end of summer, and I'm a big summer boy. But all in all, pretty good. How about yourself?
Yeah, I honestly same. Wit, my wife works in a school. Her first day of school is tomorrow. So kind of just back to routines and rhythms and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I agree, and that's actually a really interesting psychological take. I think it does just originate in our childhoods, and I feel like especially for me growing up in Traverse City, and I know a lot of other places had the same thing, but we didn't start till after Labor Day. But it feels like stuff just creeps on you so much quicker down here. But yeah, man, fall is right around the corner, and so is meaningful baseball.
That is true. Unfortunately, the boys are down 4-1 now in the bottom of the eighth in the beautiful city of Pittsburgh. Good win last night, and I'm sure we're going to get into it. But it's not early anymore by any means. Every singular game matters. So yeah, hopefully they can come back. But yeah, we're on the edge of our seats every night at least.
Yeah, it's actually funny how quick the game has gone tonight. We pretty much always record at about 8:30. And usually, I don't know, we pop in here about the fifth, sixth inning as the game is unraveling. But tonight the game is basically over because Braxton Ashcraft was amazing, and honestly, for a while, Cater Montero was too. Stark contrast to that sixth inning last night that took 4 hours and 64 minutes.
Yeah, those guys were super efficient. Somehow I tuned in during the fourth, and I was just shocked. I don't know what time the game started, but I tuned in right around 7:10 Eastern, and they were in the fourth inning. But I noticed both pitchers they were averaging less than 10 pitches per inning through 4 or 5. So very efficient from those two gentlemen.
You ready to talk some deeper baseball?
Let's talk ball, Jordan.
Alex, I feel like we have firmly stepped into kind of the highs and the lows of a baseball chase. I feel like there's kind of this sweet, ironic pain to being so invested in baseball games. Baseball kind of lulls you into this oh, it's going to last forever and nothing matters. Yeah, I'll get them tomorrow, until it very much matters every single game. And it's awesome to be able to be hurt by results again and be that invested. And then when you actually are hurt by the results, that's less fun.
Oh, yeah. You hit the nail on the head, Jordan. And frankly, as frustrating it can be for a night like tonight or when they get swept by the White Sox, I would much rather have a reason to watch and be invested more so than just the silver linings. I mean, quite honestly, when they traded Skubal and Mize at the deadline, you could say that they were waving the white flag. We said, they still had a shot at the playoffs because they were only 2.5 back, but they have extended the quality of games and the quality of baseball, I think, longer than a lot of people were going to give them credit for. So, yeah, it sucks when they lose, and it's euphoric when they win. And I feel like at least me, during this late August push, I'm living and dying by every single game. But hey, I would much rather have that, like I said, than a 2019 season or something where they just wave the white flag and then kind of carry out the season. I always think about that one Ted Lasso episode when they're talking about relegation and they're talking about American sports, and he's trying to explain, well, what happens at the end of the season for the teams that aren't doing so well? He's like, oh, you kind of just finish them out in half-empty stadiums, and it's kind of just going through the motions. So they're not there yet, which is a really good thing, and hopefully they're not. But yeah, that's where I'm at with it right now, and I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, no, I think that's spot on. It's a heck of a lot more fun to have reason to, not that, I mean, goodness knows we're sickos. We'd be turning it on regardless, but it's nice to have a reason to turn it on. And it seems like it's one of those seasons that almost no matter what happens, tomorrow we're probably going to be I don't know, a game out, game and a half. We might be in the wild card. It just is what happens every single night. And I think coming in tonight, there was 37 games left. I think it's just going to be an absolute dogfight. And honestly, I feel like they've said this on the broadcast a few times. it might just be if a team has a really good week, that is enough to do it. There's a lot of teams, and I might even include us in this point, in that wild card that just aren't very good, that have massive flaws. Us, obviously, bullpen, but uh, there's no reason to think that we can't do it, and I feel like I'm running out of reasons to think that there's a reason we can do it. You know what I mean? We're just kind of in that, like, I don't know. It might be us. It might be one of 5 other teams. I'd like to think that our starting pitching puts us apart from those other teams, but I don't know. Some couple rough outings here that I'm sure we'll get into tonight, but yeah, the starting pitching's been a little bit more inconsistent. But currently tied with Baltimore and Texas coming into tonight. Probably different by the time you hear this. And then 4 more teams with within 2 games, and most of them are within 1. Basically, the entire American League is on our butts or slightly above it. You can't handicap it. I don't know how Vegas does it, but it's anyone's game.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Any of these teams could go on a heater for a week, and that could be the difference between getting in and getting out. And I also think there's a non-zero chance the third wildcard spot could go to a team that finishes the season under 500, Jordan. So I know there's been a huge debate online about, is the American League, like, maybe not historically bad, but having a really down season, and there's a lot of it. I think that absolutely is. I mean, in any other season, we're not talking playoffs as a true possibility as the team has 3 or 4 games under 500 right now. But as it stands, without looking the record, they're in if the night finished the way it did. But it's going to be a dogfight that you have here, and it might be a couple of Yorkies fighting each other, but it's going to be a dogfight all the same.
Fighting for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's get into the series a little bit, because I feel like there was a huge roller coaster of emotion between Cleveland and the Chicago series. For me, I have realized, and I can accept to myself, that the Cleveland games mean so much more to me than anything else. Like, my wife was sick of me like yelling at my TV while the kids are already in bed during every pitch during the Cleveland game, and I was much more even-keeled for Chicago. But let's get into the Cleveland series a little bit.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback on that, realistically speaking, at this point, we're probably not going to win the division, and they probably actually are more important games than the White Sox. Like, we were at the point where it felt like it was becoming real, and you really wanted those White Sox games. But if we're drilling down to the heart of it, the games against the Twins and the Guardians are probably the more important ones. But yeah, let's get into the series. I thought that the Cleveland series was really impressive. I felt like it was a very professional, well-handled series. They just kind of got their business done. I thought that the Riley injury in Game 1 is a real gut punch. It just kind of gotten to the point where it felt like the lineup was lengthening, and there was kind of threats up and down the lineup, as we saw with the White Sox. It's annoying to deal with. But yeah, he comes off, gave us one of the better moments of the season with Brett Callahan, but not great. And I also thought that it was a little hard to tell that he was running hurt, because he kind of always looks hurt while running.
Yeah, and there was a lot of people who were saying it's a blessing in disguise because he needed a breath, but I do feel like they've missed the bat even though he was slumping, and you never want to see a player have a hamstring light up like that at all. I think he's eligible to come back early next week from the injured list. I know it was a national broadcast, but they mentioned last night that they are hoping he comes back by the end of the month, which, I mean, that could totally be anecdotal if you're saying the 22nd of August is the end of the month, sure. But it did give me a little bit of pause. But also, Jordan, we don't have to get into it too deep, but like Riley Green pulling a hammy just by running hard around the bases is not what you want to see for a guy that we have mentioned is not aging the most gracefully. It's just something about it, and he was running pretty hard, and it was right after he got hit, so it's nice to see that the hit by pitch wasn't the injury, but I don't know actually if it's any better if that's the hamstring. So I just wanted to drop that wrench into everybody's thought process, but that was the first thing that came to my mind, is like, man, if this kid is at risk of pulling a hammy just from running hard around the bases, the next couple of years might go down quick for him health-wise. Still a great player, but it just gives me cause for concern in the long term.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't even considered that, but I mean, we've discussed many times how it feels like he may have already passed his aging point. But yeah, no, I agree. And also, like, I don't know, the that national broadcast crew seemed very uninformed and like they had never seen either of the teams play, which, to be fair, it's the Tigers and the Pirates. I get it. But I don't necessarily put a whole lot of stock into basically anything that they had to say in that game last night. I believe at one point, Eduardo said that he thought that going 6 good innings was a goal for Fromber, which, yeah, I bet that was one of his goals for last night. But anyway, yeah, real tough break. And if it's kind of one of those things, like if we make the playoffs and we're able to withstand the injury, it was a blessing in disguise. If not having his bat sinks us, it was a problem. I feel like it kind of is that straightforward when it comes to the Riley injury. I thought there was some really nice leverage work out of the bullpen. Before his latest kind of blow up, Holton had been looking really, really strong. Your boy Wagyu continues to impress. I don't know. We've spent a lot of time dogging on the bullpen. And between those two guys and Summers, all of a sudden, I don't know. It's not great, but a little something going on out there.
There's some guys that Hinch can turn to. And I feel like Tyler Holton, we've given him a hard time throughout the season, but he has really turned it around in my mind. And you mentioned the big Wagyu, who I think is probably your second or third go-to in the bullpen in terms of leverage. None of these guys are tremendous, but I have been pleased lately by Holton, Summers, and Waguespack. Tyler Holton on the year, Jordan, the numbers are a 3.10 ERA with a 1.26 whip. He's got 45 strikeouts and 58 innings. For a guy that I had not written off, but really questioned his role in this team moving forward, he has given me hope that he might be able to turn it around a little bit and be a guy that you're relying on next season. I really like what I'm seeing from the big supper, Summers, and Wagyu. We kind of talked about. I don't know if he'll be next year or not, but he's been in some big spots. But it's something. It's not nothing. Let's say that. And the rest of the bullpen is a lot of nothing. So I think you are correct in that. Like, there's a little bit of a bright spot in what is otherwise just a tremendously disappointing season out of the pen.
Yeah, I thought that Finnegan had kind of started getting it going again a little bit. That was disproved. Was that last night when he didn't look so hot coming out of the pen? I don't know. He was one that been on for a long time about the ERA, and all of the corresponding numbers just don't really seem to jive. And unfortunately, those chickens have come home to roost. Is that the phrase?
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
Yes.
I have a lot of issues with just common phrases. I don't know exactly why, but yeah, those chickens have come home to roost. Obviously, Kenley kind of is what it is. I will say this is something that Andy was talking on the broadcast about a long time ago. He was saying that when the velocity is up with Kenley, like 95, 96, the cutter really flattens out. He's recently been more like 92, 93. I don't know if that's like season fatigue on a big body or if it's something that he's like actively trying to do. But he's had a lot more sharp movement on that cutter and, quite frankly, a little bit more control. I do feel like he's kind of trending in the right direction. I think he's been scoreless like 8 of the last 9 or something like that. Don't quote me on that. I mean, he's never going to be like, oh, sick, Kenley's coming in. Like, this is locked down. But I feel like of all the issues, the 9th inning, if we ever give him a clean one, is becoming less of a concern. It's all of the other ones that I'm a little more concerned about.
Yeah, it's kind of like Todd Jones 2.0 for me. Yeah. It's not necessarily always going to be clean, but it seems like he has gotten the job done more often than not lately, which is, what they signed him for. So I think this is probably going to be his last season in the big leagues. I think this is definitely going to be his last season on the Tigers. But in the moments that they've needed him to close the door, it has been, a little bit of a wonky jam job where he's got to lift up the door with a handle and kind of squeeze it in this way and squeeze it in that way. And the door is not quite sized. It's been swollen by the heat, but the door closes all the same. And that's, I guess, all we can ask for. I don't know. I
guess.
The guy is such an enigma to me.
Yeah, like, I mean, I know we're seeing the probably the worst his stuff has ever been at this point. Like, he's aging, but it's hard to look at that guy and think, all-time great. Like, just a few years ago, he was the best in the game. It does not compute, but whatever. Another thing that I liked from the Cleveland series, got up early in games 1 and 3.
Yes.
I continue to think that this is a huge key for the team. They're such a vibes team. They get up, they win. I mean, obviously bullpen aside, they fall behind. They almost never come back and win. That's anecdotal, but that very much feels true to me. And that was a big thing there. And then I really enjoyed that they got on two nice arms this series that have largely been bugaboos for us in Tanner Bybee and Parker Messick.
Yeah, that was huge. I mean, Tanner Bybee, I didn't know if they were ever going to hit that guy. He came into the series with right around 1 ERA against the Tigers, and he had just carved them up. And Parker Messick is a tremendous pitcher for Cleveland. I think he's going to be good for a long time. I mean, he's a tough customer, but I absolutely loved the way that they finally slayed that dragon in Bybee. And frankly, they went toe-to-toe with Cleveland with their ace on the mound, and they came out on top. And I know the Tigers tweeted it out, but when he gave up the bomb to whoever it was, and there was a gif of Messick just like swearing at the mound, I was like, that just feels so good. just a little bit schadenfreude. Like, man, it's good. But yeah, I mean, to slay those and I know Cleveland's not playing good ball right now, and at the end of the day, it's just another baseball team. But it did feel monumental to me, and like they finally got that monkey off their back. When they went into the first game, they were 0-6 against the Guardians and non-competitive in any of those 6 games. It was just a series that they had to have, not only for the standings, but for their psyche as well, because, it just feels like Cleveland was their boogeyman. And to take 2 of 3, they had to have it. They absolutely had to have it. So I left the Cleveland series feeling sky high, I'll tell you that.
At that point, it was we were down 2.5 coming into a series where we could feasibly take the divisional lead. Like, yeah, I was right there with you. I was in the sky. Torque. So we've given Torque a lot of crap on the show, and I feel like over the last couple of weeks we've started to soften a little bit on that. But with it, when his buddy went down, he kind of was picking up some slack for the dead homie. 4 for 9 in that series, 3 walks, 4 ribs. He's quietly actually been pretty good over the last month and a half at this point. But you absolutely needed it. Like, somebody had to pick up that slack, and it was Torque, somebody that will never get credit from certain corners of the internet. But that was a very big stand that he took. He drove in some very important runs. And I feel like it is important for us to speak that out when very frequently he is not given any sort of credit whatsoever.
Yeah, and as much as people want to debate it, I'm starting to feel like he is solidly going to be your starting first baseman in 2027, assuming there's baseball, or at least until Josue Briseño is ready. I mean, if you were to just poll 2 players and say, oh, we'll have a first baseman that's probably going to finish with 25 home runs and a 731 OPS, you're like, yeah, sign me up for that until the next guy's ready. I mean, Spencer Torkelson quietly has put together a respectable season. I'm not going to say he has a good season. It's still a 226 average and a 316 on base, but I don't think he's necessarily as much of an offensive black hole as people make him out to be. Defense is another conversation, which I know is wildly and highly debated, but at the very least, I think he has shut up some of the people that wanted to run him out of town. He's going to keep the seat warm until there's a better option, but right now they don't have a better option at first base. I don't think Colt Keith is going to be a long-term first baseman ever, so Torkelson's here to stay until someone usurps him. And frankly, to your point, Jordan, he does have the ability to get on a little bit of a heater. Still not my favorite player by any means, and I always expect more, but I'm also got to keep myself honest and objective and say he's having an okay season, and we could do a lot worse. They could do tremendously worse.
Yeah, I feel like he's a classic. Like, if you took his numbers blind against some bigger names, you actually might be pleasantly surprised. But that's not how the world works. I got something good for you real quick on Torkelson, by the way.
Yeah. I recently acquired a signed bat of his.
Okay.
So a buddy of mine, Kyle Shobe, shout out Kyle, won this on some TikTok contest. Not a baseball fan, Kyle. So he gave it to me, saying that he thought I could do more good with it. So thank you, Kyle. And I'm going to put it in my office at work. I thought it was pretty cool. I had to give it a shout out.
I have so many questions. So, how does a non-baseball player end up in a baseball contest on TikTok, and what account is giving away a Spencer Torkelson signed bat? You need to come back next week with some details. I'm very curious.
I'll dig into it. I will, because I have neither of those answers right now. It just kind of appeared in my possession. But yeah, thank you, Kyle.
It's a very specific thing. I'm coloring me deeply intrigued. So the what would have been the Thursday game? Your boys actually in the stands for. It was kind of Witt's last week out of school. We're like, I'm playing hooky for a day, so we went and caught that one. First complete game shutout without a strikeout since 2014.
That was wild.
Which was Porcello with a complete game shutout, all of his own. And the A's that day had a lineup of John Jaso, Nick Punto, and the manager of the Cleveland Guardians, Stephen Vogt. What a world.
Do you think Stephen Vogt hates the Tigers? Because I whenever you watch those series against the A's, and that was like, when Verlander and Scherzer were rolling, and the Tigers always came out over the A's. He was on those teams. I always wonder if he feels like the Tigers were like the one standing in the way, because they always shut down the A's. I think it was only like 2 years, maybe 3 years that they met in the playoffs. But it's always that one memory or that one clip of Stephen Vogt striking out when Scherzer, had the bases loaded, no outs, and he just mowed guys down.
I feel like, and this could be just based on his face shape, he seems so jolly. I have a hard time seeing him like hating anybody. I mean, I don't know him at all. I don't know anything about his personality, but he seems too jolly to be that way.
That's fair. I know him and AJ Hinch are buddies, so maybe he's let bygones be bygones, or maybe he hates Stephen Kwan like the rest of us. I don't know. He's a normal person.
Yeah, that could be. Speaking of, you got in a little bit of trouble on Twitter for hating on Stephen Kwan during that series.
I will not.
People might need to chill a little bit. Yeah.
I will not cede my position.
All right, let's jump ahead to the White Sox series. I told Whit before we came in here, I really don't want to talk about the White Sox series, but it happened. So I felt frustrated, not in that we lost the 3 games. It felt frustrating because we could have won 2 of them. Not necessarily should have, but we definitely could have. And that feels somehow even worse than if they had just mowed us down, which, I mean, it ended up feeling like a true butt whooping, but most of the games actually weren't. I have this in my notes. It's been a minute since that like results from games have been able to affect my mood. The games this weekend affected my mood.
Oh yeah, definitely. While it wasn't like as visceral as a response as watching the Cleveland games, like it hurt. It hurt to like definitely think like, oh, they're gonna sweep and like we're gonna lead the division by the end of this weekend, and just have the division leader White Sox, who were like my bane of my existence as a kid. Like Cleveland is my number one enemy right now, but as a kid, like the White Sox used to just, the AJ Pierzynski's teams, who else? Tommy, all those guys, right? Like they were just sluggers, and they'd come in and kick the Tigers' butt all the time. But it has been a while since we have had a true rivalry with the White Sox. But I feel like it is reborn, and they proved themselves to me that they are a real team this weekend, Jordan. I had said all season long I needed to see it to believe it, and they came in here and they punched the Tigers in the mouth. And I think AJ Hinch said in a post game, like they just absolutely slugged the heck out of the ball. But they just had an answer for everything the Tigers were doing, and it looked like they had their foot on the gas throughout the entirety of the season. And I know this has been a gripe of some Tigers fans this season. It does feel like whenever the Tigers get close to going to 500, they take their foot off the gas a little bit. I don't want to say the Tigers necessarily played poorly this weekend, but they did not play up to the level of competition for the White Sox. I was in the house for Sunday's game. They had the early lead, but man, Jordan, you never felt good or comfortable in any of those 3 games.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. You hit the nail on the head when you said that they played with their foot on the gas the whole game. I mean, right out of the gate, they were ambushing pitches early in the count. They were digging for second on balls that literally were just singles. They were turning them into double. Like they very much played the kind of baseball that we've largely prided ourselves on over the last couple years. They more or less just out Tigers us. I mean, with the addition of a bunch of homers. They like you say, they did anything we were trying to do. They had an answer for. It felt like, and even the Sunday game, it started to feel like we maybe got a little bit of good luck through the first like 4 or 5 innings, and then that eventually evaporated as well. You might have needed like another beer in the stadium or something. That might have been the problem.
How do you lose a game in which Brett Callahan hits a triple in his major league debut first at bat? Like that, those are just the games that feel magical and that the Tigers don't lose. Like the Eduardo Valencia game. Like even though Kenley Jansen did his best Todd Jones impersonation and gave it his best shot to blow the game, like you win those games. But I don't know, man. The Tigers just didn't have the answers at all during those 3 games. And the White Sox came in, I think, looking to prove a point, and they sure did. And they're a young team. They're an electric team. They're a really athletic team. And if they get some pitching, watch out, because those hitters they remind me a little bit of like the Texas Rangers teams in 2013, where it's just like up and down the lineup, there's somebody that can and will hurt you. And when you're talking about a guy like I'm going to say this wrong, Grichuk.
Yeah.
Having a tremendous season for them. So you got to give Chris Getz, their general manager, all the credit in the world, because this is a team very much like the 2006 Tigers, where they set the record for futility only like last season or the season before, and here they are leading the division. Looks like they're going to storm into the playoffs. But that team is very much for real, Jordan. I know the Tigers have some additional games against them the rest of the way, which are going to be vitally important. But I don't think this is much of a fluke anymore. I think the White Sox are solidly a good team.
Yeah, I agree. That's a really good call. There are so many similarities to that 2006 team. I feel like even if you look at like man for man through the rotation, it kind of lines up. I don't know, maybe a cheeky 5 on them to go to the World Series might be in order. I'm a believer in history repeating itself. But yeah, it wasn't just Brett Callahan having the moment of his lifetime that we wasted. We also wasted a 2-homer game from Ben Malgieri. Didn't see that coming. The Valencia, like so many good things happen. Well, I shouldn't say so many good things. So many memorable things happen in that series, and yet we found a way to waste all of them. I do want to hone in on the Jackson Jobe start. What did you make of that? I feel like I ask you a question and then start talking. I feel like for the first 3 innings, I watched that and I'm like, this is what it looks like when he is one of the absolute best pitchers in baseball. And then in the 4th, it looked like, like he still has a long way to go to sustain that. What did you see?
That's a really good question, Jordan, because I feel like I was very frustrated with the start, but not frustrated with Jackson Jobe. Maybe frustrated with myself for thinking like he was going to come in here and just be like the next Justin Verlander or lightning in a bottle, where he goes like 8 starts in a row, giving up 2 earned runs or less. This kid is 15 months 15 months from Tommy John surgery. He's got very little experience in the big leagues. He's still figuring out how to be a big league pitcher. He hasn't really had a ton of mileage in the AAA, albeit, so he's got a long way to go in terms of his development, but everything just looked flat to me. It looked hittable. The little bit of research I've done is just like the extension is not there, so the hitters are getting a really good view of the ball out of hand, and they were just absolutely spitting on anything that was not in the zone, any of the secondary stuff, and they were sitting on the fastball, and then they attacked it. So there was some nice things in that start, Jordan, but it did bring me back down to earth a little bit. Be like, this kid's got all the potential in the world, and I'm still a huge believer in him, but he is going to take his lumps like that. Maybe sometimes more often than not, at least for the rest of this season. He'll find his way, but I definitely was reminded of his youth and just how little experience he truly has on the major league roster.
Yeah, no, that's very well put. I'm interested in Jack Flaherty coming back. If for no other reason, then maybe we can move him out of the rotation or occasionally use him as like a 6th starter. Let him develop some good habits over 1, 2, 3, 4 innings, as opposed to needing him to take the ball every 5th day and get a W. it does seem like a task that not saying he's not up for it. It's just it doesn't seem fair to ask that of him. Um, but you're right. Like that's what we do as fans. That's what we do as you and I are definitely on the more optimistic end of the spectrum. Like there is a part of you that watches him and thinks like, what if he just takes off and is just like what he was in that San Francisco game every game out? Like that is within the realm of possibility. And who knows? The White Sox were a what's the phrase? A buzzsaw. There we go. All weekend long, and maybe he just fell prey to that. I am more intensely interested in his career than I have been in most prospects coming up, just because there is such a wide range in outcomes that I think is possible for him.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, let's not forget he was a top prospect, number 3 overall pick. And I don't know if we covered this, but Marcelo Meyer, who everyone was clamoring, myself included, for the Tigers to draft in whatever year that was, and they took Job, has been traded unceremoniously to the San Francisco Giants. But I digress. But I do think Job can be a frontline starter in time, to your point, Jordan. And I am very interested to see how he's going to look in the next outing. Because I want to see how he's going to be able to shake this off. And I think, maybe it wasn't a great matchup for him for the White Sox, but it doesn't really matter who you're playing if you're talking about trying to win games and win not and get into the playoffs. But from a pure development standpoint, there's a lot that I want to see him take steps forward this season. But I also don't think it's the worst thing in the world for him to face a little adversity. As I understand it, and I don't have all of his numbers in front of me, he absolutely tore up the minor leagues. I mean, he was just blowing kids away down there. So, learn a little bit from taking these lumps and learning how to get big league hitters out, because the difference between even AAA and the major leagues is such a huge difference. It's going to behoove him a long way. I mean, he's got the velocity. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. If they can just get him to work on the movement a little bit and some of his secondary pitches, they really got something here. But it's going to be good for him in the long run, but it was ugly to watch in person.
Yeah, definitely. I know you are a big debut guy. Doesn't get much better of a debut than Brett Callahan. Did you were you able to catch that in real time?
That was awesome. Unfortunately, bad fan. Was with a couple friends, and we were in line to get a beer. But I did see it on the TV in the stadium, so that was pretty cool. I wish I would have been sitting in my seat, but I mean, they showed they. One of my favorite parts is obviously seeing like just the smile on the player's face, but when they pan to the family and the family is just going absolutely bananas, like they're beside themselves, like that's a moment that an entire family has been waiting for since that player was like 10 years old. And you can just imagine the parents thinking about like that kid in Little League and the siblings being dragged all around, going to different, and it all kind of comes to a culmination that moment. And yeah, I thought it was a beautiful debut, and he has been a contributor pretty much in every single game he's played, Jordan. Yeah. And I think I know he's been lifted for a pinch hitter a couple times, but AJ has stuck him in the lineup every single game since he's been brought up.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I didn't think that Wenzel was going to be a contributor when he came up, and obviously he's had
Great
his
point. Yeah, good call.
Has had his issues, but he has been more of a major league hitter than not over the last 3 years. Definitely not someone I had on my radar, but kind of why not? I don't know. They DFA'd Trey Cruz, who actually cleared waivers and is now back at Toledo to get him on the roster, but why not? Speaking of you being there, tell me about the mood on Sunday. I'm curious. It felt angsty, and it also felt kind of dour, just in terms of like what it felt like on the broadcast. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, I'd say so. Somewhat of a sparse crowd considering the stakes and the excitement going into the season. But, it was a Sunday game for a team that's, how many under 500. And who knows if people had tickets and saw the first 2 games and said, forget it. But there definitely wasn't the same pizzazz as there usually is. And I do think there was a little bit of exasperation when the White Sox took the lead. It just kind of felt like we all were waiting for that second shoe to fall, and it did. And then the Tigers didn't really put up much of a fight after that. So it wasn't great vibes at the stadium for sure. I think, Jordan, I have been to, I don't want to say considerably more, but definitely more losses in my lifetime at Comerica Park than wins. But I have a pretty good track record for watching them on the road. So maybe I will not go to too many games at Comerica's Park anymore.
You know, it'd be awesome if somehow life like gave you stats on things like that. Like, I don't know who would keep track of that, but like just
God.
be able to access that. Like, man, all time I'm like 26 and 44, or, you know, all that kind of stuff. I'd quite like to see that.
I think about that all the time, but outside of baseball, I'm like, how many chicken shawarma sandwiches have I eaten in my lifetime? Just like completely odd stats like that. I would love to know after I die. It's just a scorecard. They're like, all right, you were a deviant in these 15 characters, and you were okay here, and you didn't take enough steps here. Great. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your existence.
Like a person reference page. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, with all the split tabs and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I'm probably the negative war.
Speaking of negative war, our boy Dylan Dingler's been in a little bit of a mini slump. It has been rough sledding. So this was coming into tonight, 3 for his last 43, which dates back to August 7th. I will say 2 of those 3 were doubles, so at least there's that. But I was looking into it. He's caught 91 of 125 games so far this year. Probably too much. And he is awesome, but a man can only withstand so much.
Yeah, he just looks tired to me. He looks exhausted. And on top of catching as many games as he did, he's been a huge offensive catalyst to this team. And, you know, this is one of the first seasons where he's truly had a breakout, but also one of the first seasons where he's had so much time behind the plate. And I'd be willing to get that goes back to the minor leagues as well. And it's a little bit too bad that Jake Rogers did get jettisoned, because at the very least he could give Dingler a breath behind the plate. And I know Valencia is a catcher and he was catching tonight, but he is not someone that I think anyone wants there regularly, and he's not going to get a bulk of the starts. He's more of a little bit better than an emergency catcher, if you will. I know he's, you know, had called some good games, but the defense is not nearly there. And he's just not as quality of a catcher in Dingler as on the defensive side of the ball. Now, you can't run him into the ground. I think AJ waited too long to give him a day off. I saw he pinch hit tonight, but he's getting a day off. But he is too important of a player to just continue to let flail out there, because you can see that his body is just aching for a day off. So I think that's what it is for me. It's nice to see him break out a little bit. I think he's got on base twice in the last 2 games, and he's taken some walks. But yeah, to me, he just looks exhausted. And it's a gauntlet. It's a long season. I expect him to turn around. But I definitely can empathize with Dylan Dingler having a little bit of a slump with as good as he's been on both sides of the ball so far this season. Are you seeing anything different, or are you kind of on that same wavelength?
Yeah, I think all of those are true, and I think you combine that with pressing. I mean, he's never a guy that's going to take a lot of walks. He's a relative to his stature, he's a higher strikeout kind of guy, but he just continually finds himself in bad counts. He's been swinging early and passive late. I think that it's just when you combine fatigue and pressing, like it just doesn't leave a whole lot. That being said, I mean, I'm sure it's only a matter of time at this point until Jake finds himself back on waivers. We got room. Let's clear someone off the 40 man. Bring him back. We'll roll with 3 catchers. Actually, I was joking, but I'm kind of talking myself into the idea. There are, I mean, realistically speaking, do we need Corey Julks at this point? Like, I feel like that would be fine with me.
It's funny you mentioned that, Jordan, because I was thinking, and you never want to wish an injury, so I don't even want to put this out loud, but in the off chance that Valencia did go down and he was available, I think it would be a natural move to bring Jake back, just because they're familiar with the pitching staff. But how do you think he felt being on the White Sox on the other side of that sweep this weekend? Do you think there was a little bit of do you think it was bittersweet, or do you think he kind of feel like he got one over on the club, even though he wasn't a huge contributor?
I mean, obviously, we don't know Jake. I can't imagine it was completely sweet. I don't know that I would necessarily say like full bittersweet, but those are the guys that you've like bled and sweated and cried with for the last, what, 5 years, however long he's been up. I don't know that there's like any world in which he's completely like rah rah cool or like I want to get one over on these guys. Um, that being said, I don't know. Never been a professional athlete. Like, I'm not really sure how that dynamic works. But I don't know. It doesn't seem like Jake's that kind of guy.
It's probably a weird feeling. I do want to give credit to the organization. I thought they did give him a really nice moment in his first at bat, and as they should. He was a great soldier for this organization. You know, he was the last remaining piece in the Justin Verlander trade. He was, you know, by all accounts, a tremendous teammate, extremely well liked. So I'm glad that they gave him the shot that they did, and kudos to the fans for giving him that standing ovation. He, you know, for a player that probably hit under 200 by the time he was out of here, that was still incredibly well deserved.
Yeah, for sure. And big hits in that Houston series, 2024. That will always, I mean, not quite the Ibanez level, but he had some big ones.
Yeah.
Speaking of bottom of the order guys, we've talked at length on this show over the year, over the honestly several years now, that largely the team has been driven by the stars this year: McGonigal, Dingler, Green. It's worth noting that over the last, I think this is last 14 days, gotten some really good contributions from Colt Keith, 1050 OPS, 362 average. Your boy Fire Up Chips has still got it going. How You Lee continues to put his name, at least in pencil, in that second base spot for next year. 375, 911 OPS. And Malgiri's hitting close to 300 with 1100 OPS. And then big moments from Callahan, and I think a big knock from Julks too, who I just dogged. But I've actually seen quite a bit of production from some of these other guys, which it's nice that in some ways things are balancing out, considering basically nothing from Dingler and no Green whatsoever.
It was really only a matter of time till a few of these guys got it going. There was no chance that there was going to be an entirety of the season where you didn't get at least a couple weeks of really good ball from a few of them. How You Lee really sticks out to me, Jordan. On the season, I think let me pull up his stats really quick here. He's hitting above 270 on the season, and his OPS, 274 on the whole season, and a 734 OPS with a 311 on base. Over the last 7 games, he's hitting 429 with a 500 slugging, Jordan. But I know this kid goes 0 to 100 in everything that he does very quickly. But, you know, I don't think any of us saw that sustainability. Malgiri, who I'm going to be completely honest with you, I didn't know anything about him in the minor leagues. I knew the name and the name alone. He has held his own since coming up here, Jordan. And then, you talk about McKinstry finally turning on, Colt Keith looking a little bit better. And then Brett Callahan, who, you know, I've seen people who are much smarter than us in terms of prospects said he's probably not ready for this, but, you know, in terms of a pinch, they can call a kid like this up. Way to go. I mean, he hit the home run tonight. He had the big triple in his debut, and he's done everything they've asked of him. So it was very important, if they're serious about making a run of the playoffs, that they had a few of these guys turn it around. And if these guys can continue it for the next month or so, I still think there is a decent chance they're going to sneak in.
Yeah, definitely. And I was telling my dad this recently. They haven't gotten basically anything from Dingler, and obviously Green is injured. If they're able to stay afloat until those two guys come back, plus obviously there's bad news around Kerry Carpenter today, but like it will be a massive reinfusion of the talent that we already have that could potentially be the difference in like the last month of the year. I mean, obviously that requires Dingler to come out of this slump and for Green to come out of the IL swinging, but there is kind of potential for the Stars to almost like rebirth as far as the down the stretch.
They have as good of a chance as any of the teams that they're lumped with in that mushy middle, under 500 third wild card group. I think they have as good of a chance as any other team. And frankly, I think they have a better team than a lot of those teams. I'll take them over the Twins. I'll take them over the Rangers. I'll take them over the Orioles and I don't know, maybe not the Red Sox because they spooked me from how good they were in that big stretch in the middle of the season. But, this is still, it's a flawed team, but it's a good team, Jordan. And I think I think they're going to do it, even still, on Tuesday the 18th. Let's get after it.
One more note on Hao Yu-Lee. Since his recall on June 13th, he has an OPS of 842 and in a non-insignificant amount of at-bats, 135 at-bats. I don't know. I spent a long time on his Fangraphs page the other day. Like, is this actually kind of the front runner for second base next year? I think that if you were to like start the 2027 season right now, he probably would be the more or less everyday second baseman.
All right, put on your Scott Harris quarter zip. If you have the opportunity to re-sign Gleyber Torres or go into the season with Hao Yu-Lee and Max Anderson battling it out for the starting second baseman job, which way are you leaning?
I mean, depending on the money, I might still want Gleyber. I love that dude. He's just a gamer. I love that guy. It's maybe more personal than actually strategic in the situation. It makes more sense to let those two guys battle it out. But I think Gleyber gives this team something that, in a lot of ways, they don't have anywhere else, kind of that real dog, veteran guy that's seen it all. But I pose the same question to you.
I think you could get him for 1 year, 10, 1 year, 15. I mean, 15 is the cursed number because that would mean he probably isn't going to play all season.
Nothing for 15 ever again. No.
But I'm with you. Yeah, if you could bring, I mean, he's such a veteran presence in the clubhouse alone. I do see him physically declining a little bit faster than I expected, and the power has somewhat been zapped a little bit like Javier Baez that way. But, I mean, he still gives you professional at-bat night after night. The defense isn't great, but I think you can hide it. And, if you're not ready to pass that on, I would not hate them bringing him back at all.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Jordan, do you have a Tiger King crown to give away this week?
I do. My choice is Eduardo Valencia. Since our last episode, 385 with a 1,300 OPS, 2 homers, a double, 4 ribs. He is just one of the guys at this point that I get excited when he comes to the plate because electric things happen. He is not a great pure hitter, but he brings a level of thunder that not everybody in this lineup does. And I really appreciate that and what he's done in these last couple series. And I do think he's kind of playing himself into a lock to be on the roster next year. For those reasons, Eddie gets my my Tiger King crown for this week. Who do you have?
Excellent choice. Mine is probably going to be so obvious. One, young Brett Callahan, number 34 for your Tigers. Number 1 in our hearts. Only 9 at-bats, Jordan, but he's hitting a cool 444 with a 440 on base and a 1.44 OPS. Obviously, best baseball player in the world with those numbers.
Ever,
but he does have 1 bomb on the season we saw tonight, 4 hits and 5 ribs. So the young man out of St. Joseph's, he was a 13th round pick in 2023, number 380 overall. He is a 6-foot, 195-pound lefty, Jordan. So, what else can you say about that debut? You see a kid realize his dreams in real time, just steals my heart every time.
Yeah, definitely.
Weekly preview time. So they've got one more against Pittsburgh tomorrow. That is a 12:35 start. Then they go to Kaufman for 3 with Kansas City, who are at the bottom of the division. Kansas City getting a new stadium set to open in 2030, if you didn't hear. So if you have not had a chance to go to Kaufman like myself, I'm hoping to get over there before they move. But, Jordan, let's take a look at the next 4. What is your record prediction?
So we got Skeens tomorrow. Normally that would make me very concerned. Lately, maybe a little less so. Kind of fun him and Job, two big time prospects at various points in their development. So I think we win tomorrow, and I think we take 2 of 3 in Kansas City. Ugh, they face Noah Cameron on Friday. Lefty. That's going to be a what a way to finish the week, watching Noah Cameron throw 92 and dice us up all night. I'm still going to go 3-1. Why not? How about you?
4-0.
Oh,
Let's ride. Well, I mean, we got to do it at some point. They got to go on a heater at some point. Why not now? So watch them go 0-4 with the way my predictions have gone this season. But yeah, give me 4-0, Jordan.
Yeah, I think the big thing that the context here is after that series, it's home to Tampa Bay and home to the Dodgers. These are 4 games that we absolutely need before the gauntlet. Things lighten up a little bit after that, but we could conceivably just be done after those 6 games. So we need to win as many as we can in these next 4.
Trying to will it into existence. Do you want to go down to the farm, Jordan?
Yeah, let's do it. So this is going to be very heavily Whitecaps focused. Whitecaps are actually here in South Bend this week, so I'm going to try to get to as many games as I can, including tomorrow night to see Ben Jacobs, and hopefully Cash Mayfield will have like a scheduled start at some point and go see that. But over the last 15, Bryce Rayner has been on fire. 298 average, 963 OPS, 4 homers. I don't know if you saw this, but there was one on a video of, I think it was on Sunday, the homer that he hit out into the party deck at LMCU ballpark in Grand Rapids. Just an absolute bomb. 3 doubles to go along with that. Still striking out too much, but he's starting to put it together. I would assume that there will be nothing standing in his way to spend basically all year at Erie next year, and then at that point, who knows? So
he hit another
very exciting
monster home run tonight. There is so much power. They've got a lot of power coming, Jordan, between him and Briseño. Like, this is, if everything goes the way that they're thinking, and nothing is ever a given, but let's assume that both of these guys are at some point going to break in with a major league team. They're going to have a lot of thump in that lineup between Riley Green, Dylan Dingler, Briseño, Rayner, and then I'm sure I'm missing somebody else.
Your Hope?
Ideally. Your Hope, right?
Yeah.
Yep. They're going to hit the ball over the fence a lot, so that's really exciting to me.
Yeah, definitely. The other one that I wanted to flag, Cameron Flukie, the first-round pick from this year, made his debut in the system in Lakeland on Wednesday. I tuned in for that, expecting to watch 5 fun innings. He threw 1 1/3. They were very eventful. He walked 2, struck out 2, but somehow no runs. He had the catcher threw out a would-be base stealer that really saved him. The velocity wasn't exactly where I was expecting him to live, but I suspect that Florida Heat and a long layoff probably play a big deal there, and the command was just all over the place. That being said, it was his first outing in professional ball. I expect them to go much better in the future. And also, just like eyeballing him, it's pretty easy to see it with him. I think he is going to be somebody that moves relatively quickly once he gets his feet wet.
Love to see it. If you guys don't know the name Cameron Flukie, he was the Tigers' first-round pick from this season out of Coastal Carolina, I want to say. So definitely their highest-rated pitching prospect outside of maybe River Ryan, depending on which baseball prospect list you pay attention to.
Yeah. The only other news item I had, Brady Smith, the third piece in the Scooble deal, left his start this week with elbow discomfort. Not ideal.
Not ideal at all.
So as we get more info on that, we'll update you. But yeah, dang, very, very annoying.
That is, and hopefully it's not what we think it is, but we'll hold our breath. But Jordan, do you want to get us some listener questions, because that does parlay well into the first question?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Nick Lampe on Twitter wants to know, how early is too early to judge a trade return? He says neither trade return is looking good right now.
All right, I would like to answer this question. Now is not a good time to judge it. Neither is at the end of the year. And honestly, probably is neither at the end of next year. I know the urge to judge. We want to have something to either hang her hat on or be pissed about. But like, it's not football where all of a sudden you now have a starting safety or a punt returner, or basketball. Like, it just works different. You have to have more patience. I know Zaire Hope's got off to a rough start in Erie. Like, it's been 10 games. Who cares? People go through bad 10-game stretches everywhere. There is nothing inherent about his numbers at Erie that are more important than his numbers at Tulsa before, which were incredible. I've heard a lot of this narrative. I'm relatively done with it. But yeah, no, you got to give it a couple years. I mean, we've seen literally zero people from any of the trade at AAA or higher. I mean, we wouldn't judge our own prospects based on a rough couple weeks. I don't really want to do that with guys that we just acquired. So let's say opening day on 2028. We can start thinking about it. You good with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that. I was going to say you have to wait to see how their Tigers' career turns out. I mean, if these guys, flame out in the minor leagues and never turn in anything, but that's sure. But like, are we willing to wait until Zaire Hope has 2 professional seasons under his belt and we can start to think about the player that he's going to become? I think until he breaks into the major leagues and these other guys follow, you can't judge it because there's just no way of knowing. I know they can be frustrating to trade away players and see them succeed. Well, you guys immediately kind of either get injured or don't do well. But Zaire Hope's going to be a really good player for this organization. And I think he hit his second home run with the Seawolves tonight. And he just has power to all field. So wait and try to be patient on that one, Nick, because I do think based on the return for rentals, I still think they did pretty well in those trades.
Definitely. And I also think River Ryan is going to be a really good bridge next year to give the people something shiny to look at, like, look what we got. I have a really good feeling that this is going to be a really explosive arm. And I know everyone's going to be like, oh, he's so old. He's so old. We're gonna have him through all of his prime years. At the end of it, we're gonna let him go. Like, it's not a big deal. We weren't gonna if he's an ace, we weren't gonna re-sign him anyway. It doesn't matter. I don't care if he's 32. If he still has that's obviously a joke, but if he still has all those ARB years, it doesn't matter to me what age he is.
That's right. Litzner on Twitter, he wants to know, is the 2026 push for the playoffs more or less exhilarating than the 2024 push? My answer is the 2024 push was more exhilarating because we were just able to throw caution to the wind. The team had no expectations, especially after they sold. I mean, I think they had the whatever chance to make the playoffs. We were even saying on this show, they're not going to make the playoffs. Like, this is kind of fun, but like to just see them do what they did with no expectation and kind of just living and dying by every pitch, and winning a series after it had taken so long. And I think at that point it was 10 years since they made the playoffs, and I had tears running down my face in my basement. It's a little different because this year I do feel like is a big missed opportunity with what we thought the team was going to be. But it's not necessarily not exciting this year, but I don't think anything can top Gritty Tigers for me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, honestly, like that might be that in 2006, kind of like the 2 years at the end of our lives we remember. Hopefully there's more that add to that list. But yeah, those were 2 unforgettable years. And like you say, not that this year isn't exciting. I think this is going to be a really fun last 6 weeks. But yeah, it's gonna be a tough season to top 2024.
That's right. Lev Zubov on Blue Sky wants to know, he said the Tigers are 382 in their own division, which would be like going 62 and 100 if they played that way against everyone else. What do we think is going on against the divisional opponents this season?
First of all, dang, that's not great, especially considering how many we have left against those teams. I don't have any ideas. Do you? I think it's too much familiarity.
An oddity of baseball. I think, if you have a good team, or even if you have a mediocre team, the ebbs and flows of your record against the division is going to change dramatically every year. I just think this is the year they have not been playing well in interdivision games. And there is going to be a conversation at the end of the season on if AJ Hinch is going to continue to be the guy that can get the most out of this team or not. Conversation for another day. But, that's all part of the equation, too, because you'd like to think they could get up for these divisional games more than others, but certainly not the case, at least this season.
Yeah.
And then finally, Jordan Bernier on Twitter wants to know, what has Jordan recently seen on the side of the road? This throws back to a Podcastellanos bit where you would talk about what you saw while running.
Yeah, this is a real complicated bit where I would just say what I saw on the side of the road while running. The things on the side of the road in South Bend are interesting. For those unfamiliar with South Bend, it's not great. It's perfectly fine. But you see, basically every day you see something that you've never seen before. All of that to say, there actually isn't that much interesting crap on the side of the road. I guess probably mostly because I run on sidewalks now, so I'm not actually getting like road debris. But the one thing that I see all the time is prophylactic packages. Obviously, they've been gotten into. The various condoms have been taken, but like the outer packages they come in, I see those on the sidewalks all the time. Someone out there is having loads and loads of intercourse.
Stay safe out there, South Bend.
Yeah, I guess the alternative is much worse. Hadn't considered that. Yeah. Responsibility.
And that is what Jordan has seen on his many travels. Jordan, that is it for this week's episode. Always a pleasure to speak with you. Highlight of my week. Anything for the good of the order before we sign off tonight?
I might have a quick rant. Is that all right?
Always.
All right. So I've found myself becoming more and more irritated with how we classify pitches. I feel like back in the day, when somebody threw a cutter, that really meant something. I feel like now, if somebody throws a two-seam fastball with a little run, he's got a cutter. If somebody throws a sinker that like fades down and away, or a fastball that like fades down and away, it's a sinker. I feel like when I think cutter, I think Mariano Rivera. I don't think just like a hard two-seam. I don't much care for that.
Wasn't that bad of a rant. I mean, I agree with all of it.
I feel like it's a little bit like old man yelling at the cloud, but like I don't know. Like, can't we just put two seam and then the guys that like throw sinkers in all caps? Those are who throw sinkers.
I'm with you. I think we should write a letter to Rod Madfriend. I want this figured out before the CBA.
Yeah, there we go. We'll get that to both the sides. I don't know who would be on our side, but surely one of them.
I think it's that Derek Skubal guy who's part of the player. I don't know. I don't know if you heard about him, but
no, I've never heard that name before. Completely unfamiliar.
He's a lefty at one of those teams out west. So thank you, Jordan. Thank you, listeners, for those questions. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Always have a ton of fun with you guys. If this is your first episode, thank you very much and welcome. If this is your 101st, thank you for being with us the whole time. New episodes every Wednesday. If you want to follow along, we have a ton of fun on the socials. We're at Eat 'em Up Pod across all of them. Jordan is at hosted by Jay Hall. I am at AUrban91. We would be forever grateful if you'd give us a subscribe from your favorite streaming platform. While you're there, give us a 5-star review. Tell us what you like about the show. Tell us what you don't like about the show. Any listener feedback that you have, eatumuppod@gmail.com. So as you guys know, we're going to be sticking with you for the entirety of the season. If they do sneak into the playoffs, we do episodes generally every night after the games. So hopefully we can continue to do that this season. So with that, on behalf of Jordan Hall, I'm Alex Irvin. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.